So this one is exercise balancing equation. We did the first 3 pages. So we'll do from page number 4. Question 10. Ammonium dichromate, which is NH4 in a bracket 2Cr2O7, it undergo a thermal decomposition. The products are chromium 3 oxide, nitrogen, and water. What is meant by thermal decomposition? How we define thermal decomposition?
Decomposition of a compound by supplying of heat energy.
So 1 mark is for breakdown of a compound, decomposition or a breakdown of a compound, like chemically change the compound by the action of a heat. So if we chemically change a substance by the action of a heat, we call no, it should be a standard definition. The 2 mark, 1 mark is for like there is a breakdown or a chemical change should be there, because when we supply heat energy, substance can also melt, but that is not a thermal decomposition. That is a melting, which is a physical change. So you
Can
have
we
to
mention intraparticle forces are overcome?
that you can also mention because it means the compound will change. So decomposition or a breakdown chemically by the action of heat is a thermal decomposition. And as I shared with you the definitions, so try to memorize the definition. Now write a chemical equation. So we have to complete. So we have to complete the equation. The first thing, we have the compound thermal decomposition means like we should have one reactant and more product. And the formula of the products are given. You have to like the important part is first completing the right equation and then so we have ammonium carbonate, it decompose into chromium 3 oxide. So what is the formula for chromium 3 oxide? So chromium is +3 and oxygen is -2. So chromium 3 oxide will be Cr2O3. So this should be a correct formula for chromium is Cr2. So it will be Cr2O3. And then nitrogen is a non-metal. So how it will exist? It will be N2 and hydrogen will, and water is there, which is H2O. So Cr2O3 plus H2O. So this is the first part. The second part is balancing the equation. Or sometime, just a minute, I will erase your answers. So we were having NH4 in a bracket 2. Then we have Cr2O7. And we mentioned it decompose into Cr2O3 because chromium 3 oxide is there. So oxygen is -2, chromium +3, plus nitrogen is there, N2, plus water is there, H2O. Now the second part is a balancing. Like first part is done, you've completed the product. The second part is balancing the equation. So as we start balancing with oxygen, try to balance oxygen first, followed by hydrogen and then other element. So I need 7 here. I have 3. So how I can make it 7? So 3 here. If I put 4, that will make 7 because this will be, I can put 2 here, but that chromium will also change. But if I want to only change oxygen and hydrogen here, the second one is hydrogen. So 3 here and 4, so oxygen is balanced because 4 and 3, 7 and this 7. So oxygen is balanced. Followed by hydrogen. How many hydrogen? 4 multiplied by 2, 8. 4 multiplied by 2, 8. So hydrogen is also balanced. Then nitrogen are 2. This 2 is with nitrogen. So 2 and nitrogen 2 balance. Chromium 2, chromium 2. So this equation is also balanced now. Is it clear? This one, the balancing part. So start balancing with
Yes, sir.
oxygen followed by hydrogen and then other elements. The reason why I did not put 2 here with chromium because when for example, because I need 7. So if I put 2 here, that will also make 7 oxygen. But the thing is, because when I was putting 3 here, 4 here, it was balancing hydrogen as well. So with one number, I was balancing two of the elements. That's why we prefer that one. In question 11, sulfur dioxide is there. It's produced on a large scale by heating iron pyrite strongly. The iron pyrite react with oxygen in the air to produce iron 3 oxide and sulfur dioxide. So construct a chemical equation for a reaction between iron pyrite and oxygen. So sulfur dioxide is produced in a large scale by heating iron pyrite strongly. Iron pyrite is iron sulfide. Iron 3 sulfide is iron pyrite. So if Fe is +3 and sulfur is group 6, so -2, so iron pyrite will be Fe2S3 plus it is heated strongly in air. So what it is reacting? It is reacting with oxygen. And as a result, it produces iron 3 oxide. So what will the formula for iron 3 oxide? So iron is +3, oxygen is -2. They already gave that, Fe2O3 plus sulfur dioxide, SO2. So this is the equation. Now the second part is balancing. What we start with, we start balancing with oxygen followed by hydrogen and then other elements. Now balance this equation. So we have 3 here and 2, 5, and we have 2 here. So how we can balance? But you can see sulfur is 3, so there should be 3 in this part. So there should be 3. Why? Because sulfur is 3, so definitely there should be a number same as here. So sulfur becomes 3 and oxygen 6 multiplied by 2, 3 multiplied by 2, 6 plus 3, 9. How we can have 9 oxygen here? So it will be 9 by 2 because 9 by 2. So what we can do, if we fraction, it is fine. If you write in fraction, that's also fine. Or what you can do, you multiply all of them by 2. So when you multiply all of them by 2, after writing a fraction, so this will be 2. This will turn out to be 9. This will be 9. This will be 2. And this will be 6. How we know the periodic, the valency, they give the iron 3 oxide as form. So it means the original or starting valency of the iron should be +3. Because the final valency is +3, so it means the original valency should be +3. Iron is a transition element, so you cannot identify from the group. Is it clear, this balancing part?
Yes, sir.
Then question 12, equation 12, complete the chemical equation to show hydrogen act as a base when added to water. What is the definition of a base? Base is a proton
Proton acceptor.
acceptor. So means one of the it should accept proton. So it is N2H4. Then what it should turn into? It should turn into N2H5.
N2H5.
And because it accepts proton, there will be a charge +2. And water donated the proton, so the water should be OH. This shows that hydrogen is acting like a base because it is accepting water, and water is acting like an acid because it is donating proton. Why H plus? Because the proton charge N2H4 was neutral. There is no charge on that. But when it accepts proton, so it accepts the charge. So when it accepts the charge, it will become N2H5. And because of that plus charge, so the overall molecule will be charged now. And water, which is H2O, because it donated the proton, so the charge on, as it donate proton or it leave proton, so what we are left with? We are left with OH minus. Because water is neutral, and how it is neutral, and H and OH will combine, they will give water, that will be neutral. But if H is removed from the water, we are left with OH minus. Why proton is known as H plus? Because when you write the structure of hydrogen atom consists of one proton and one electron. This is hydrogen atom. But when hydrogen atom loses electron, we are left with only one proton. That's why, like when hydrogen atom lose electron and turn into hydrogen ion, so this hydrogen ion is also known as a proton because we are left with only proton. There is no electron present in H plus. Then in question 13, suggest a chemical equation for a reaction between sodium hydroxide and carbon dioxide. So sodium hydroxide is a base, carbon dioxide is acidic oxide. When they mix with each other, the product will be sodium hydrogen carbonate. So it will be NaHCO3. And this equation is balanced. So this sodium hydrogen carbonate is a salt. So acid react with an alkali, it will form salt and water. But this is alkali is reacting with acidic oxide. So as a result, it will only form a salt. There is no water. If it was acid plus alkali, salt and water. But because it is alkali plus acidic oxide, so it won't result in a formation of water. Only a salt will form. So sodium hydroxide plus carbon dioxide, it gives sodium hydrogen carbonate. And this equation is balanced as well. Because one sodium, 3 oxygen on the left and right, 1 carbon and 1 hydrogen. Then the phosphate ion has a formula of PO4 with a charge -3. Yeah, acidic oxide forms salt, or a basic oxide also forms salt when they react with acid. So for formula of rubidium is group 1. There are many amphoteric oxides or hydroxide, but you have to learn only 3 of them: aluminium, zinc, and lead, the 3 examples. So rubidium is group 1, +1 in phosphate, PO4 with a charge -3. So it will be Rb3 and PO4. Chloride ions are discharged at anode. Ionic equation. So what happens? The chloride ion will lose electron. So because, like example, if you have a chloride ion, it will turn into chlorine atom by loss of 1 electron. But non-metal cannot exist in an atom except group 8 or group 4. So when 2 chloride ions are there, they will lose 2 electrons. It will form chlorine gas. So this equation can be written in this way as well. Like we used to write 2Cl minus 2E gives Cl2. So these are the 2 same things. There is no difference. Like here it is -2, the other side it will go +2. So it won't make difference. This is an ionic equation. Question 16, ethanol react with methanoic acid to form an ester. Name the ester that is formed.
Ethyl methanoate.
So ethyl methanoate, because the first name is from alcohol and the second name is from carboxylic acid. So ethyl methanoate. The next one, butane is formed when long chain alkanes, hydrocarbons are cracked. Complete an equation to show other product when butane is formed by cracking. So what should be the other product? Because the overall equation, we have like 6 carbon and 14 hydrogen. Here 4 and 10. So how many we are left with? We are left with 2 and 4. So C2H4, which is ethene. When cracking is done, either it will give alkane and alkene or it will give alkene and hydrogen. The next one, aqueous ammonium sulfate is warm with the aqueous sodium hydroxide, a pungent smell gas, which is ammonia, is produced. Balance the equation. Start balancing with oxygen, followed by hydrogen, and then other element. Balance this equation. Even you, because it's already product are there, so even you can start with any of them. So we have like, if you start with oxygen 2 and you put 2, so 6 oxygen on the left hand side. So there should be 6 oxygen on the right hand side. So oxygen you balance. Hydrogen 4 here, hydrogen. This one is 4 and 6. 10 are there. Because like 2 multiplied by 3, 6 and 4, 10. So we should have 10. 4 multiplied by 2, 8. And then this you put 2. So that is also hydrogen is balanced. Then the other element, nitrogen, is already balanced as you put 2 and 2. And sodium is 2, sodium is balanced, sulfur is balanced as well. So this is the balance equation. In question 19, this ore is converted into zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is then reacted with carbon. Write a chemical equation for reaction of zinc oxide and carbon. What will the chemical equation when zinc oxide is reacting with carbon? Carbon or carbon monoxide, both are reducing agent. So what will the product for this? So as a reduction happen, like carbon is a good reducing agent, so it will form zinc metal and carbon monoxide. You can complete for carbon monoxide, even you can complete for carbon dioxide as well. Like if you form a product carbon dioxide, just put 2 here and 2 here. So carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide, both products are possible. So depending on what you want to complete, if carbon monoxide, you don't have to put 2, like equation will be balanced. But for carbon dioxide, you have to put 2 to balance the equation. Ethanol that is suitable for a use of as a fuel can be manufactured from sugar such as glucose, C6H12 by two-step. Describe how this can be done. In your answer, include an equation for reaction. How ethanol can be converted into glucose. You can use this part. Any part you can use this. So ethanol is there. So it will like glucose is there and you want to form ethanol. So it will be C2H5OH ethanol. So this should be C2H5OH. So C6H12O6. So the fermentation C6H12O6. Yes, you can use its screen annotation to complete that. Gives 2 molecules of ethanol, C2H5OH. Plus 2 molecules of carbon dioxide. The next one, these results, the results the student obtain are shown, like different salts student mixed with each other. Write a chemical equation for reaction between silver. Write a chemical equation for reaction in which silver carbonate is formed. So which first you have to identify which one produced silver carbonate, which reaction, like what we mixed with to give a silver carbonate.
Sodium carbonate and silver nitrate.
Good. Because like sodium carbonate from here and silver nitrate from here, when they mix with each other, it will form sodium carbonate, silver carbonate. So it will be Na2CO3, sodium carbonate mixed with silver nitrate, AgNO3. And when they mix, as a result, it should form silver carbonate. So the formula of silver
And
1
sodium
carbonate.
nitrate.
So silver is +1 and carbonate is -2. So silver 1 carbonate will be Ag2CO3. So silver valency is +1, which you have to remember. And then form sodium nitrate. Sodium is group 1, +1, and nitrate valency molecular ion -1. So NaNO3. The first thing is completing a right product, like completing it. The second part is balancing. So 2 silver, so we put 2. Silver is balanced, then carbon is balanced. Oxygen is 3 multiplied by 2, 6, 9. and it is so all of them are balanced. So how we identify that this should be silver carbonate formation? Because silver nitrate is mixed with sodium carbonate, so it's the ionic precipitation in which it is like ions exchange and it will form one insoluble salt. Then write an ionic equation for reaction in which lead iodide is formed. So we want a formation of lead iodide. So lead iodide by mixing with sodium iodide and lead nitrate, that's right. But because they only ask for ionic equation, so we just have to write the ions which are responsible for this. If the same question was there, that write an equation for formation of lead iodide, then you will mention sodium iodide plus lead nitrate gives lead iodide plus sodium nitrate. But as it's an ionic equation, so whenever it's an ionic equation, you don't have to write the full, just write the product, the insoluble substance, which is in this case lead to iodide. So this valency is 2 and iodine is -1. So lead to iodide is PbI2. So what it consists of? It consists of 2 lead ion. It consists of lead plus 2 ion, and it consists of iodide ion 2. State symbols, usually sometimes they ask, sometimes they don't ask. So write the state symbol for ions, it will always be aqueous, and for precipitate, it will be solid. Is it clear, the ionic equation? Because the first one
Yes,
they
sir,
asked the
clear.
overall equation, the chemical equation means like the overall equation between the two reagents. An ionic equation, we just write what ions react to form the product. In question 22, molten sulfur is burned in air to produce sulfur dioxide. Complete the chemical equation for stage 1 by adding an appropriate state symbols. You just have to add the state symbol. What is the state of a sulfur? Is solid at room temperature? No, sulfur is solid. Sulfur is at room temperature, it is solid. Oxygen is gas and sulfur dioxide is also a gas. When do we write the state? Usually they mention in the question like include a state symbol. Usually they mention that. And normally in ionic equation, it's better you write the state symbols. But that will be there. Okay. Yeah, Rafi, that's right. Sorry, I did not read that. Molten sulfur is there. That's why it should be liquid, not solid. That's the right point of it. As I mentioned, a molten sulfur, then it should be liquid. State symbols, usually we write state symbols in ionic. You should always write state symbol in ionic equation. For other equation, optional is there. Usually they ask, and why it is liquid here as it's they mention molten. I thought it was written only sulfur is burned. Magnesium phosphate contain magnesium ion and phosphate ion. What is the formula for magnesium phosphate? So magnesium is group, it's +2 valency and phosphate is PO4 -3. So we cross multiply. So it will be Mg3 PO4 in a bracket 2. So this was from page 4 to 6. Next session we'll do more from this.